I'm just going to start it off. Hello and welcome to the Tau Chain June video update. You're here with me, Fola, and my colleagues from the ID&I team. We've got a lot of updates for you this month. Karim is going to take you through what we've all been doing as an overview shortly. But what I'll do is I'll pass it over to Karim for his update.
Thank you, Fola. This month, the biggest new update is that we're up and running with Atlassian Jira, and that's a road mapping software that's fairly standard in the industry for gathering requirements and tasks and issues. So we're up and running with that software, and our development roadmap looks much clearer now. And so development is proceeding on essentially two fronts. One front is what I call the core technology, which is the Tau meta language. And the other front is the Agoras Live portal, which is going to be the precursor for the alpha. In the Tau meta language, Juan is now started working on second order logic with OHAD, and Omar continues on the parsing improvements to TML, and he's run into some bugs last week during proof extraction, and OHAD helped him fix those bugs. Dragon has given us a much awaited overview of his implementation that's been long coming of var bits, which is essentially an optimization of the way binary decision trees are stored internally to the TML. And that allows for much faster execution and much less memory usage. So that is a significant improvement to the TML's capabilities. In addition, VARBITS allows for a new feature, which is compound terms, which is essentially abstract data types for TML. Tomas continues, or he's almost done with the serialization implementation, and he's extending it for VARBITS and merging the VARBITS update into the rest of his implementation. On the Agoras Live front, Juan has been working on the integration of the C-Lightning network on top of the Omni layer. He's almost finished with that, except now he's working on TML. And but on the portal side, Moaz has been doing a lot of mocking up of the Agoras Live application, and we've figured out a workflow between him and Andre to basically bring his mockups and his styles into the main Agoras Live portal application. In particular, Andre has finished the user profile as well as the wallet interface, and he's been working recently on the calendar implementation that allows for the setting of appointments, basically, between users. And that is a major feature that has just been completed. That's it for the overview. I can kick it over to Juan to talk about his work on the C-Lightning network and on the TML.
Hi, everybody. Okay, on the as Karim has introduced, on the Agoras Live side, we kept moving forward with the Omni layer to C-Lightning network integration. We are on I think on the last stage of what we need to do, at least for the MVP on this side. And we have been also analyzing and initially addressing what is the detachment of the private key handling by the wallet involved in the C-Lightning network to not keep the private keys from the end users and to leave that responsibility to the end users. So that's we analyzed some options, but on the initial conception of the design we are looking forward to reach, it is to avoid the wallets that are going to be handled by the Agoras Live service, to not keep the private keys for the end users, and to to handle that the signature process, the signing process in a different module. So we are looking forward to wrap up this the integration by mid July, and we will have some additional weeks of work in order to complete the new signing model, which is detached from the Lightning C wallet. And on the TML side, we are we sort of we return to much of the Boolean algebra related stuff that we put on hold a couple of months ago, and as an initial approach to approximate to the second order logic solver, we are working on a functional equation of a finite domain solver that, of course, OHA has proposed as a problem to address, and we are already sketching the algorithm, and we should be we should be starting the implementation of our approach to solve that problem in the coming weeks. So that's in general what I have been focusing last couple of weeks, and I think that's all from me by now. Thanks.
Okay, staying along in with the core TML technology, let's go to Tomas next, who's going to tell us about his effort with serialization and integration with Barbits.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm still working on persistence and serialization. I've merged the latest changes from Barbits branch into the persistence branch, and it took me some time because it's a lot of new structures, and I'm close to finish, but there are still some bugs I need to fix. There's not much else to say. Bugs are pretty low level, so I don't know if to say more details about that. And I should finish soon, and once I fix the bugs in persistence, I'm finally going to start adding built-ins required for rewriting the bot in TML, which I need persistence first.
Okay, thank you, Tomas. When you're done with that, let's do a call together to do a show and tell, basically, on the persistence. Should be very interesting.
Umar, let me know if you're okay. We're recording, so just go for it when you're ready.
I've been working on TML proof extraction. Basically, what we are doing here is to convert the proof into a kind of a directed acyclic graph. In research, that's known as a shared packed sparse forest. So the challenge mainly there is to how to handle the ambiguities that are present in the grammar's derivation trees and map them compactly in the form of a DAG. So I've been looking at that and implementing it. One of the main difference that we have from the existing literature and existing research implementation and the paper is that we are basing it off the proof output of the fixed point calculations that we are doing within the TML. The others are integrated within their parsing techniques like early parsers and so on. So that's the difference that we have from the existing implementation and techniques. So we have nearly gotten to the point where we can extract the DAG But currently we are seeing some issues with respect to how the proof is being generated. So we are looking into some bugs. So I'm going to work with Dragon in this week, possibly, to figure out some of those issues. And as soon as those are resolved, we will have we'll be able to get the proof completely translated in the form of the DAG, and that's where this feature will close. I'll do some testing, and that's it from my side.
All right, fantastic stuff, Umar. Always appreciate your updates. Now I'm going to throw it over to Dragan for his first Tau featured update in our update series, even. So over to Dragan.
Hi there. I'm for a while now working on the variable bits branch and getting it ready for the merge with the main master code. For the past month, I was largely working on the compound terms support, improving it from version to version, trying to wrap it up, basically. It's still kind of in the experimental phase somewhat, though it's getting quite stable and also feature-wise more ready, and it is starting to shape up. For example, we are more clear what we can do with it. I've produced a couple of updates, each improving on what compound terms can do, including some smaller fixes, a lot of tests, and testing it all around. Basically, compound terms allow us to introduce complex arguments or types of arguments. So far, we only had what I call primitives, which is numeric character symbols, and with the help of compounds, short of compound terms, we can theoretically have arbitrarily complex arguments that consist of other arguments and so on, like arrays on the simple side, or even structures in a way. In the latest update, I managed to actually make use of compounds to do a simple compose and decompose of lists, and specifically for strings, which are lists of characters. And I also implemented a simple character search as an example. To clarify, compose, decompose operations are trying to mimic RDF, first rest, in a way, but not quite exactly. Even though still simplistic, we still have a way to go to make this fully usable with regards to string operations, search, replace, etc. This was more of an example, really, than try to actually do a lot, implement string operations. So even though still simplistic, it is a relatively advanced and complex example. And this is what I sort of used as a proof of concept for me to see how far we can push things with compounds. And indeed, we did hit some limits with it, which is good, actually. In a nutshell, we have full support for variables within compounds, and compounds are, from this and previous update, in every way first-class citizens, meaning we can place and use variables to substitute or extract any part of any complex compound structure, be that a head or rest of the body or a compound as a whole. We can also construct recursive algorithms around compounds, like recursively decomposing a string character by character until we get to an empty non-string. We did hit some issues, though, as I mentioned, and mostly related to dynamically sized compounds, which are usually a consequence of recursive algorithms. Dynamically sized compounds, for lack of any better name, are compound terms and arguments that are variable in size and that progressively increase or decrease in size. Size being the number of bits. That's a bit simplified. Anyway, basically the issue is that our low-level code that is responsible for bit encoding doesn't quite support this at this moment. And as a side note, this isn't directly related to dynamic universe, which already works rather fine. There is some overlapping here, but it's a different thing, really. So I've had to work around it and made a temporary solution that enables this for dynamically sized arguments for compounds, it's a temporary fix only, and I'm not entirely happy about it, so it will naturally require more experimenting and thinking on how to properly solve this and for other similar class of problems. Apart from compound terms, I also focused on the code cleanup and code reorganizing, which is sort of an ongoing work of mine. I made a few passes related to the compound term specifics, abstracted that away, and made compounds basically behave like a numerical primitive in every way. Also arguments, metadata iterating, which is quite significant improvement that allows us to generalize how we treat arguments regardless of their nature, really. And some performance improvements, etc., etc. Another area of interest that I worked on quite a bit was tests and testing the whole variable bits code, including but not limited to compounds. Actually, compound terms are really like a very good example of variable bits. I've gone into a lot of details, testing out various use cases, fixing some more issues, making it more intuitive, more robust, improving or handling some error conditions, etc. I've also worked on improving and formalizing the table signatures, which is somewhat changed with the variable bits versus what's on the master branch, but that would require some more time to explain properly, so I'm not going to do that here. And also I've updated developer documentation a bit and added a section related to the compound terms, though given the popular response so far, that's going to require some more work, surely. And I should also mention the proof code that I worked on with Umar and Ohad. I managed to fix a couple issues there. One, an old universe-related bug, in order to make it work on the variable bits branch, as master has even more issues on that side. And it does kind of work better, though there are still some issues there to resolve. That should roughly summarize it for me, I think. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Dragan. Very, very insightful, and I'm sure that the community appreciate your input and being able to take the time out this month. And we'll enjoy your continued updates as we go forward. Okay, I'm going to put it over to Professor Kami now, so he can give you an update as to what he's been doing and what he's thinking.
Hi guys, Kami is here, the guy that writes the white paper. Today I would like to reflect about a matter which I think is very important in the context of Tau. And this is the difference between information and knowledge. If, for example, I have a bowl with apples, then I can think about it, this is basically an information. It's the content of the bowl. Now, when I take a bite from one of the apples, this information gets a meaning. And this is the taste or the smell. So we see that knowledge is basically information that gets some meaning. And we can say that this is a meaningful information. Now, when we communicate with each other, we don't just pass information. These are not empty pieces of information. We ascribe them some meanings. And that shows us that basically meaning is something which is external to the information that we pass. The meaning comes from, let's say, an observer, a player in the game. Now, we tend to think that this kind of person or entity is supposed to have some mental faculties to grasp a meaning or to generate meaning for information. So we see that information is content and knowledge is a meaningful piece of information. And to ascribe meaning, we need some user, we need an entity that is intelligible and can ascribe this piece of information some meaning. Now, when we talk about the Tau system, the Tau chain, we basically talk about a decentralized network which passes within its routes not only some pieces of information, but some meaningful information, knowledge. So if we now want this system to evolve with time, that means that the meaning is supposed to evolve also. If knowledge evolves, that means that the meaning of the information evolves with time. Now, as we said before, meaning is something which is ascribed by some entities, and these are the users. Now, in order for the network to pass this information in some credible way, we need the machines to understand also the communication between the users. And this brings us back to the idea of machines that use a logical programming language and that the users can basically describe their own worldviews, which consists of the meaning they ascribe to pieces of information, and they can do that via a logical programming language, and this is the TML. Just an anecdote, you know that physics until the 20th century was devoid of observers, and basically we had no place, human beings had no place within physics. People try to think about the universe as some absolute place which can exist independently of human or consciousness, or some observing entity. Now that all changed with the 20th century physics, and quantum mechanics is one of the examples in which the observers take a vital part in the theory. And we just said that in order to ascribe meaning to something, you need observers, you need some intelligent entities, or at least something which has some mental faculties or perhaps some computational faculties. That's it for today, guys. Until the next time, cheers.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Professor Kami. Now onto the design. I'm going to throw it over to Moaz so we can talk a little bit about the website and the Agoras Live platform. And then we'll go off to Andre to give you a bit more of a look as to what's going on with Agoras Live.
So hello everyone. For the last month, and like in the first week, I almost finished the website. I took feedback from Fola, like further on the buttons, etc., the styles that I should improve, and yeah, like it's almost finished just for the content. And for the Agoras Life, yeah, we have had me and Andre and Karim and Fola had a couple of goals of how we can manage a workflow, and we settled down on using Zeppelin, which is like a developer's handoff tool. And afterwards, I also chatted with a couple of front-end developers that I know, with like knowing which flow they really like use in their actual projects. So I also know like a couple of other tools, which is like a kind of like Marvel. Marvel is a kind of prototyping tool, but also provides handoff ability, and also another tool called Envision app. So so that I also what I also recognize that most of the handoff tools don't provide let's say HTML code directly, because the kind of like design issues, because it's not like the code doesn't know if this is like an element, if it's a rectangle, so this is an issue. So and also in the design wise, I almost finished like most of the components I tracked on the website Andre provided me. and with waiting for Andre to provide me the yeah, he's good with the Zeppelin, and I will upload the rest of the components, and yeah, we'll be ready to publish the components to the front end side. Yeah, this is like an overview of the progress I have in the in June. So to wrap up, it's like settling down on a specific tool to hand off to Andre, or like in the future to the front end developers, the design like mockups or the design assets, and also I worked on like let's say polishing and making the new UI with the template Andre was using. So that's it for me. The design side.
As always, good to get your insights and thoughts. All right, over to Andre.
Hello, everyone. I hope you have a great summer, but let's go straight to the point. So, this month I was working on a very important thing of this MVP platform of Agoras Live. It's appointment system, because sometimes you want to go and call someone right now, and most of the time, of course, you want to schedule a call. So, as a user, now you have the ability to choose what time you are available on, choose dates you are available on, and time zone you live in, or if you don't want to share your time zone, you can set it to some fake time zone and just change the time accordingly. And you have a fully featured calendar here, but let's, for example, try to arrange a meeting as another user. So, suppose I want to call to Kim Jong-un and talk about something. I choose a time frame I want to have this meeting for. Of course, the main idea of the Agoras Live platform, initial idea, I'd say, is per minute charging, and suppose I have a meeting for 60 minutes, and if it's 50 minutes, you will be charged for 50 minutes. But suppose it's 60. We choose a date we want to have this meeting on, and we have available time according to your time zone. You can change here. And of course, if you change time zone, available times changing also. Suppose it will be on 11, and suppose the topic just default. Everything is okay, and we're done. Let's go back to Kim Jong-un and his appointments. And here it is. We have a new meeting proposal. We can accept it, and now we have it on our calendar. Just here it is, as you see. And for example, you want to have a lunch after this meeting, and you don't want anyone to distract you, so you just set a meeting for yourself, and nobody will be able to ask for a meeting here. Of course, you can click on this meeting and read about this user. So this is it. This is pretty much it. It is working. Another thing I was working on is to implement Moa's work with user experience and move it to this carcass I'm working on to improve overall user experience. So Moaz has his design imported into Zeppelin. He was talking about it. So I have this, for example, wallet Moaz did, and this was the initial wallet, and I was able to export wallet from this Zeppelin into our platform, and now this is corrected wallet with more comfortable user experience. And just like with this wallet, I will translate all Moa's work to the exact system, so to improve user experience. Also, next month, of course, I will improve video calls, because currently video calls doesn't have all features over the interface that are needed for a call. And next month I will implement notifications about new appointments via email, and overall user experience with tickets and other small stuff that is necessary, with user rating, etc., etc. All the small things. So that's pretty much it. Thank you, everyone. See you.
Yeah. How about Killian? Can you give us your overview?
Yes, sure.
Thank
Hello,
you.
everybody. Yes, hello, everybody. This month, I've also intensified the partner university outreach. I think last month we already were announcing the two professors of the two universities in Germany, in Gießen, that were interested in collaborating with us. And this month we intensified the conversation with them. Fuller and I had a call with them to discuss in which way we could collaborate. And we jointly came to the conclusion that scientific collaboration will be the way to go. Basically, they said we can think of any topic we like related to their expertise, and then give it to them. And depending on how extensive the effort is, or yeah, how extensive the effort for the topic is, they can decide, is it a bachelor topic, a master thesis topic, or a PhD topic. Their focuses are, the one professor has his focus in complexity, descriptional complexity, and the other professor has his focus on partial evaluation. Yeah, and Ohad also said that maybe research is not even really needed in some of the cases. So first of all, we have to find out yeah, like where research actually is needed and where it's just rather about consulting, because the answers to some of the questions we have might be already out there. So yeah, the professor focused on complexity offered us that we can yeah, consult him for anything related in terms of laws, and the other professor we are still seeing how we can get consulting in terms of partial evaluation. Yeah, then I also did further focus on the research groups, and previously I was rather reaching out via email, and the response rate wasn't really that good. So this time I focus more on phone, because often there's also a phone number associated with the contact person of a certain research group. And yeah, the problem also with phone calls is often they just don't pick up. I tried in basically globally, but rather Asia and Europe, rather those continents rather than Africa, North America, and South America, also because of time zones. But the thing is, when they pick up, which was the case twice, they are really positive about our project. So there were two research groups, or research centers rather. And the first one is the International Center for Advanced Communication Technologies in Karlsruhe, Germany, from the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. They were interested in collaborating, and the Center for Computational Linguistics from the Catholic University in Leuven, Belgium, they also were interested in collaborating. And in both cases, I've sent them an email, to which I haven't heard back yet. So I definitely have to follow up there as well. Then with regards to the bounty board, we really would like to get started with the contests. First and foremost with the technical contest. I already mentioned before that the question will be to find out how many chess positions TML can encode. And currently we are working on the terms still, which means we need to figure out the duration of the contest, what will be the reward in terms of Agoras, and the rules. Yeah, and once we have that figured out, we can launch the contest. First, obviously, it's a nice contest for our community, for the technical part of our community, but also we can use the contest as an additional reach out point for universities and yeah, academic scholars. Then we have the translation bounty that Fuller and I discussed, and we are, so this is now the official announcement. You can apply for it. It's for the blog post The New Tau, which is approximately 3,000 words, and the reward for translating that blog post is 750 Agoras. And the languages that we would like to have the blog post translated in are Chinese, Spanish, and German. So if you would like to work on that translation and you're fluent in the target language, you can message me. Then another thing we launched, or we are launching basically right now, is the ITNI IDNI grants. So that's basically for community members or students and yeah, people that are just learning about IDNI. So it's provided for projects that work on open source software, research, or community building, or other projects which are expected to have a positive impact on the ecosystem and the community as a whole. So yeah, by that program, we can support these projects. Yeah, you can apply for these grants. You can apply through a form that I will be also posting on Telegram and yeah, on basically all our channels. But it's already posted in the Discord resource channel. So if you go on Discord in the resources channel, you will see the link to the grant form, and you can yeah, exactly. And also, beyond the grants form, we also launched the IDNI Ambassador Program, which is great for community members who are passionate about Tau Chain and Agoras and would like to get more involved. You can also apply via a form that will be published on our channels. It's already published in the Discord resource channel. And in this Ambassador Program, you can basically choose to become either to become an ambassador in the social media realm by blogging about Tau Chain and Agoras, or doing YouTube videos, or whatever social media platform you actually are active in and have an audience in. Or if you are a meetup organizer, or you can see yourself in that role, to host meetups, local meetups about Tau Chain and Agoras in your country, you can also apply for that. Or if you have a different idea on what kind of ambassador you could be, you can apply as a custom ambassador. Just bring in your own idea. Then with regards to tribe channels, so we have been trying to find the right channels where the audience is that actually is interested in what we're doing. And yeah, previously I've been focusing on universities and research groups mostly. And now what I also started is to go into Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups. And yeah, I just started that basically, so I will see how the result is going to turn out there. But that I think can be very fruitful as well, to first and foremost post or introduce the people in these groups about our project. So these groups are related to computational linguistics, KRR, and what was the other one that I had there? I forgot, but there was one more. And yeah, we can cross-post our technical contests there, and we can also like do individual outreach to individual members of these groups to educate them about how and get them involved. So yeah, that's it from me so far. Thank you.
All right, great. So on to my update. So from my end, we've been working on the logo with a couple of logo designers. We initially tried to take the logo in a direction where we attempted to use what we have and update it to fit with the new sort of ID&I logo that we now use, which you'll see on the new website. And we've kind of come to the idea that the old Tau logo, we've tried it in so many different ways, that the old Tau logo doesn't really work with where the new sort of ID&I logo is currently. So we're probably going to change the direction of the new Tau logo, and it will be quite different to what you see now. So it's been a lot of research and a lot of ideas that have gone into it, a lot of testing and trials of different shapes and styles. And that leads me to the website as well. Moaz and I have been working on the website, as you know. We're kind of coming to the end there. We're getting to that stage where we then need to start adding the content to the site. So that will then, we'll then need to start looking at the sort of benchmarks of the products that we are releasing, that sort of leads to us having a much better presence online, allowing us to do better marketing and things like that. So this all sort of ties in together. So that shouldn't be very, very far off. So we'll soon be on the content stage. I'll also say that as it relates to the the products that we're releasing, I had a couple of calls with Ohad and Karim to discuss the MVP and what that's going to look like for the TML and Agoras Live. And Karim is putting together his strategy to getting us to that MVP stage. I also work on the exchanges, and what I've been doing recently is just sort of refreshing where we stand in relation to the larger exchanges as we get progress in our development. We have more opportunities to get on board with these exchanges. We are talking, we have someone talking to us on our behalf, talking to an exchange on our behalf, CEX exchange. We don't know if we're going to be able to get on there, but it's just an interesting exchange. And, speaking of the exchanges, we are working with Whitebit to provide a portal for us. We're in the sort of discussion stages right now for Whitebit to provide a portal for us that you can use in the Agoras Live platform to buy or sell your Agoras tokens. So the Agoras Live platform will have some method to buy and sell your tokens for a number of exchanges. So we have been speaking to Whitebit, who we already have the Agoras token listed on, and another exchange, Atomars, where those guys work with Coineel and a couple of other exchanges. So that's in progress at the moment. I also work on continue to work on the legal ramifications of the Agoras Live platform. That's something I'm going to be talking with Karim about and our legal advisors as to how we structure our terms and how that might shape the platform somewhat. We know that we want the platform and everything we do to be as decentralized as possible, but we just make sure that all I's are dotted and T's are crossed on that front. Again, as you heard from Killian, I've been working with him on the bounty program and some of the interesting ideas that we've heard from the community. I know that Jamie's created the one of the Tau websites, and I know he's going to apply for some bounty in the future. So I do encourage you guys to kind of come up with ideas for bounties if you have any, and you know, keep your ideas flowing. And you know, if there's anything that you guys want to see, please add it to the Q&A, or at me in the Telegram channel. My handle is The Good Seller, or just Good Seller. So yeah, I'll be on Telegram as well. But that's it from me. Nothing else to report, but I will hopefully have some more interesting updates on the logo in July. Thank you. Let me pass it on to Ahad for his update this month.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm working on second order logic from restricted to so-called Horn and Chrome formulas. Chrome is like CNF with two literals, and Horn is, well, Horn clauses. This solves a subset of second order logic, which can be solved, by the way, in polynomial time. Adding to that, another method of solving second order logic, which is based on so-called Ackermann's lemma. Of course, this as for itself solves a very narrow part of full second order logic, but we can use these solvers in order to very significantly narrow the search space for generic second order formulas. This narrowing of the search space will be done by inequalities. Inequalities which in this scope means which is a subset of which. I've been also working at the scope of second order logic of how to make TML go backwards from in dual meaning, both from output to input and also backward reasoning, backward chaining in contrast to the current forward chaining. And that's all for now.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to our updates. Please stay tuned for the Q&A. So this question is from Al, and they say, in what ways do you see TML and Agoras being implemented into Agoras Live platform? How will Agoras Live differ from other video streaming platforms?
So we see Agoras Live basically as fundamentally a distributed video platform, as opposed to other platforms that are centralized. So it comes with all the advantages of being distributed, mainly privacy. Also, of course, you can use cryptocurrencies, namely Agora, to pay for the sessions, and you can basically have very fine-grained billing in that. Those are the main advantages. Later on, Agoras Live is just, let's say, a precursor to the alpha platform. Later on, we're going to add scalable discussions to Agoras Live, which will be like the alpha phase of the Tau chain. Ohad, if you have anything to add to that?
Yes, TML and Agoras is all about knowledge, and Agoras Live is just another form of sharing knowledge in a freestyle way, in contrast to a formal way, like TML and Agoras are intended to be.
So this question is from the Time Traveler. Okay. Warning, this is a message from the future. I have been unable to send this message any other way. Tau chain will lead to the AI uprising unless a white paper is released sooner. We need the time to prepare. Thanks. Godspeed. So updates regarding the Tau chain white paper will be given in Avishai's update. So you can refer to that for a response for this question.
Yeah, we just want to add that the only way to prepare to the upcoming AI is to get friends with it. You want to be on the AI side. You don't want to be on the other side.
All right. And this question is from J. Cole. And they ask, Ohad, can you say you've solved second order logic using TML?
It depends very much what we call solved. I know how to take a second order formula and convert it to TML program that returns the answer, but it will not necessarily be the efficient way to go. In common, well, maybe the only textbook only book that explains the logic of TML, the name of the book is Finite Model Theory by Ebbinghaus and Flum. They already show how to convert any second order formula to PFP, which is TML's logic, but they do it precisely by going over all possibilities, no matter what. That's, of course, unacceptable. And maybe the way to say it is, we want to be able to solve easy problems quickly. We understand that second order logic is, in general, a problem of very high complexity. And so we should expect some problems to take a lot of time, no different than the time that would take to go one by one over all possibilities. But in simple cases, in easy cases, we would like to make it very fast. So I just, as I said before, some special cases that we know how to solve is Horn formula, Cron formula, and the usage of Ackermann's lemma. And indeed, by this, I hope to make the search of one by one much, much narrower due to this information. That Horn, Cron, and Ackermann can take out of the formula that we are interested in solving.
This next question is by Carlos Nada, and they ask, is Tau based or inspired by any philosophy or philosophy of science? If so, which one, and which one definitely not?
I can think of 3 points, but if I think more, I can come up with much more. One of them is about what is truth. And on Tau, indeed, we don't really have truth. We have only opinions. The only thing that is not true is a contradiction. But if someone tells you, I don't know, that the sun is green, and Tau, of course, has no way to find a contradiction there unless there is more information that gives rise to a contradiction. So truth on Tau is only in the logical sense of which logical formula can be satisfied and which cannot. And by that it is completely disconnected from what we speak, from the truth that we refer to in the physical world. It is not very different than saying that the sun exists, comparing to saying that the number 3 exists. In a mathematical sense, the number 3 exists very much, but the number 3 doesn't really exist. In reality, the sun exists, but mathematics is unaware of the sun. And we are on the side, because what we do is a software, is a computer program, therefore we are forced to accept only the logical side of truth. Another point is the role of humans versus the role of computers, especially in the future when we reach artificial intelligence and things like this. And it's a twofold. One position that we hold is that machines are for the answers, while humans are for the questions, because the machine can tell which answer is correct, at least in which answer is correct or incorrect, is true or not, at least in the sense of truth that I just spoke about before. But no machine will never be able to tell which question is interesting, because interesting is a human thing. The subjective thing is not objective thing, like 1 + 1. So one point for the role of the humans versus machines is humans are for the questions and machines are for the answers. Another point is, in contrast to some projects that try to put the machine in the middle, we put the human in the middle. We are all about connecting humans with the help of the machine. And as a byproduct, the machine will get very smart and become into AI. But we are indeed all about connecting human minds with technological eyes. Maybe last point to mention is at the scope of language. You know what? If we have axioms for the languages, we can also speak about the axioms of law and say something about law. So about languages, we postulate that there cannot be one universal language that suits all needs. And this also in contrast to many other projects that try to come up with a universal language. And we reject this approach, and therefore we come up with the Internet of Languages to allow many languages to coexist and co-evolve and be translatable to each other. And indeed, maybe the biggest philosophical point, grounds for everything we do, is the laws of laws, which we spoke about so many times. And number one, the law has to be decidable. So answering whether something is legal or not should not take infinite time. And that's a very modest request. Also, the law should be changeable, and this is twofold. This gives the axiom of deletion, that sometimes we need to delete old rules in order to legislate new rules. And the third axiom is, which comes again to changing the laws, is about self-reference, which is a little deep. Maybe I will not explain it right now. We spoke about it so many times. And these philosophical grounds for how the law should be formalized give a unique solution. That's the biggest breakthrough, that we come from such three simple requests, and we get only one language, only one logic. There is only one way to go for the law. And indeed, TML already successfully implemented this logic, and it works very well.
Question for me. Can we adopt community fundraising so we can have Reddit ad campaigns? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by community fundraising, so that's something that we'll discuss in the Telegram channel. If you guys haven't subscribed to the Telegram channel yet, please do join it. I'll leave a link in the description of the video on the YouTube channel. But for now, because I don't understand what you've actually asked, we'll save that discussion to Telegram. Cheers. And this question is by Dana, and he asks, are there any, or will there be any, codified design principles for Agoras?
Yes, well, we have codified what we spoke before, the axioms of law and of language. And there should be more. We also have some axiomatization of Tau itself that I wrote on the blog post, The New Tau, but in the white paper it will probably be enhanced more. And also for Agoras, we need to make it a little more solid, but it's about economics of knowledge, taking, I also spoke about it in the blog post a little, taking the parts of economy and see what it constitutes from production, delivery, demand, supply, and so on. And to make this these codified axioms, call it so, the foundation for Agoras. And similarly for the derivatives market of Agoras. Well, too much to say, but it is something very formal. There is a well-developed theory of this field.
And this question is from JZarg0. Hello, I would like to know if it's possible or makes sense to wrap Agoras in an ERC20 token. Listing and trading can seem to be a big topic for our community. I think that could solve the problem till the end product is live. Thank you and best regards. Well, it is something that we are considering, but I mean, one of the most prominent ideas for us to that we're looking into at the moment is for us to use the BitShares model for the Agoras tokens. But using an ERC20 token isn't so likely at the moment.
By the way, how come you get to choose BitShares?
Because it is not fully decentralized in such that it gives us the ability to have things that cannot work in fully decentralized way, especially the derivatives.
Does it work better over BitShares than on Omni, or how is it?
It just cannot work on Omni.
Oh, okay.
It's about oracles. For the stock price, things like this.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to the Q&A. We always appreciate you tuning in. Please share this far and wide. And I also recommend you join the Discord and Telegram channels if you haven't already, if you're just purely watching from YouTube. But you know, please, if you do want to be featured in the Q&A, just add your questions to the Q&A Google form that we always leave on the Discord and Telegram channel at any time as well. It doesn't matter when you do it, just add your questions in and you will be featured. Thanks.